Alright everybody, it's a nice cold rainy day, but I got a message last night on YouTube, and one of my subscribers, he's interested in starting to get into making his own weapons and tools and everything, and he wanted to know what are some basic tools that you can start off with that you can make a lot of stuff with. It might not be the fastest, but you can start making some of your own weapons and tools. So I decided I'll just come down real quick and give a quick overview of some of the most useful tools that I use all the time, and maybe some other ones that if you can find and stuff like that. But first thing we'll start off with is files. Probably the tool that I use majority of the time. Files are just an awesome tool. Anywhere from big flat files. I've got a smaller flat one. Here's a half round file. I got another flat one. Triangle file to get real nice sharp corners. I got another half round one. Round file. Small triangle. I'll leave this out for an example. Bigger triangle. And then a bigger round one. Files, you don't have to go to a store and buy a whole set. I got this black set a long time ago, but all these other ones, which I use these three the most, just a big flat one, I think it's like a 12-inch, this 6-inch file, and then this half round 10-inch file. I got those at a flea market. Same with all these over here. I got these at a flea market. It was just the file. I think I got them for like 50 cents each. And I just took a 1-inch piece of wooden dowel and drilled a hole in it, and you drill the hole a little bit smaller than the tang of the file, and just kind of pound it in there. So files you can get fairly cheap, like I said, especially if you go to garage sales, flea markets, anywhere like that. Plus, files make great knives if you ever decide to get into knife making. But files are definitely one of the items that I use the most, and you can do a lot of work with a file. Next would be pliers and vice grips. Vice grips, to me, are the best kind of plier or tool you can get, especially for this kind of work. Clamps on, hold stuff without you squeezing on it a lot, so vice grips are awesome to have. Like I said, a lot of these tools you can find at flea markets now, especially with the economy not doing so good. People are selling a lot of their stuff. I got a regular set of pliers. I got some wire snips, some needle nose, and then I have some channel locks. I probably use these the most, so I would say a pair of channel locks would be good. Channel locks and vice grip, that's pretty much, to start off, that's all you'll really need. It's just easier to hold on to tools like that. What else? We'll go over here. Some measuring tools. I got some, a square. I got some straight edges. I use this. This is a 6-inch scale. I think these cost like $1.50, $2. I use this the majority of the time because I'm not doing huge pieces. Tape measure. I do try and get all my measuring tools in metric and standard, because a lot of the dimensions you get for these tools are in centimeters. So you can see that's standard, and then the other side is metric. And then my tape measure, standard and metric. I also picked up a small square. I got this once again at a flea market, I think for $3 or $4. It was a good pickup. So that's for, like, you know, measuring and drawing stuff out. To mark your lines, you know, red pencils work great, white pencils, silver pencils, those all work good. I got a multitude of Sharpies and pens, pencils that I use. So that's it for those. One thing that I do use a lot that you don't necessarily need, but it helps out if you're trying to drill a hole in a certain spot and you don't want your drill bit wobbling around, is an automatic center punch. You just press this in and it pops a hole or a small little divot so the tip of your drill bit can find where you want to drill your hole properly. And that's something you can pick up that helps out a lot. Next thing, we'll move on to some other hand tools. I use two types of hammers. I have a small ball peen hammer and a rubber mallet. I use both of those. Like I said, I'm not doing any huge blacksmithing or huge forging, so another tool that I use all the time, hacksaw. Comes in handy when I don't want to use my cutoff wheel. If I'm just doing something quick, small pieces. Hacksaws are great. Just make sure you buy some quality blades. Yeah, you might be able to get a pack of 5 blades for $5, but the more expensive ones will be, you know, you only get 2 blades for $5. Go with the better quality ones. They do work better and they do last longer. I buy Lenox. It's Lenox. They're white and they got a little symbol like a dog on them or something like that. So a hacksaw is good to have. What else? Maybe some tin snips. If you're doing anything with sheet metal, that always helps. But a lot of the cutting and grinding that I do, and you guys have seen me use this before, is one of these. This is a DeWalt grinder. You can put different attachments. This is a attachment sign here. This is a flap disc wheel, which I recently found that I love. But you can get all types of different wheels to put on there. This is a cutoff wheel. Unscrew that, and you pop this on, and you can cut through steel with this. And I've cut through up to, you know, 3/8 of an inch with this stuff. But I do a lot of my initial grinding and shaping and cutting just with this tool. Once again, I got this at a flea market, I think for like 30 or so bucks. So this has been like my favorite tool. If I didn't have this, I wouldn't be able to make a lot of the stuff that I make. So definitely, if you can find one of these, it's great. If not, you know, you don't necessarily need it. Things might take you a little bit longer to do. If you have a Dremel, that'll work almost as good as this. Dremel is smaller, so you won't be able to do a lot of heavy-duty grinding and heavy-duty cutting. But I know the user Juzo Otomo, who does a lot of the Chinese sword modifications, he uses a Dremel to do all of his work, and he does some pretty amazing stuff with just the Dremel. I do have one. I just don't really use it a lot because I have that big grinder. Besides that, nice vise. I got this set up for a quick little tutorial I'm going to do, but a nice vise mounted securely. That's just as good as any other file or vise. You know, what's good at having all this stuff if you can't hold your work? Let's see. If you have any, want to get any sources of heat, I have propane and the oxy torches. You don't necessarily need these. The propane torch is a lot cheaper than this, but it definitely helps out when you're bending things, or if you want to do your own heat treating or whatever. So, having a bench grinder helps out a lot to get away the big pieces of metal, but you don't necessarily need it. I have this sander that I use. Once again, don't necessarily need it. If you have that DeWalt grinder, then that'll take place of this and that, just by buying different attachments for it, which are fairly inexpensive. I know stuff like this costs like $1.50. Even the good brands cost like maybe $2 a piece, but you can find all the attachments pretty cheaply. A drill press. Now, a hand drill will do just the same. I like a drill press because I know it's going to drill straight every time. That's just me. If you don't have one, like I said, you don't necessarily need it. If you have a hand drill, that'll work just as good as a drill press. But besides that, I really don't use that many other of these tools. A lot of the stuff up here is just for finishing or hanging stuff up to dry and stuff like that. I do have different types of paints and glues, and I got some tool dye, you know, WD-40, some lighter fluid, which I use to take off stickers and stuff. Oh, here's a staff I'm working on. It's from I watched Shogun Assassin last night, so if anyone's seen that movie, you know who carries something like this. He's seen walking with it all the time. Anyways, so yeah, I don't use any air tools. All my stuff's electric. You can see I got my box of just bits and pieces of steel. I guess I got all my paints and finishing stuff I need. Oh, here's a good thing to have, especially if you're doing any types of blades or stuff like that. Sandpapers. I have anywhere from 60 grit all the way to 2000. If you get into the finer grits, I had to get mine at an auto supply store. But this is if you're doing any high polishing on sword blades. Like this 2000, if you get that, dunk it in some water, you can do fine touch-ups if, you know, any scuffs or rust marks on your swords. I find that actually works very well instead of buying a very expensive Japanese whetstone. But that's really it for the tools. Definitely, probably the most important thing out of everything that's on my workbench is, you know, of course, safety glasses. I've had metal stuck in my eye and had to have it drilled out. It's not fun. I'm not trying to be one of those guys that says, oh, you know, you gotta be safe. I mean, if you're grinding or anything with flying material, it's probably better to wear safety glasses. Like I said, I've been through that before and it's not fun. So, safety glasses are always a plus. I'm not saying you gotta wear them on everything you do, just be smart about it. If you're just sitting there drawing something out or scribing lines and doing stuff like that, or filing, you really don't need to wear safety glasses. But if you're drilling or grinding or hammering anything, I'd put them on. I do. If you want to have gloves, you can wear gloves. I don't. I find they get in the way. That's why my hands are all beat up and calloused, but that's really about it. So I hope this helped anyone out that is looking to start making their own stuff. A lot of these things are just basic tools. So hope that helps out, and that's really about it.